American. And those photographs ran in many Chinese language papers. I made a concerted effort of looking at them. When an African American young man jumped off the subway in New York to rescue someone who had been pushed, his face did not appear in the New York Times.
A saying, like a term called gaman, which means to endure, and it's considered a virtue. And so there is kind of a stigma against raising your voice up or trying to speak out against injustices. It's more of a virtue to endure and hold on, and we really want to create an open environment through a 5-part media campaign of our daily print issue, our digital website, our social media campaign, and Roundtable with the Little Tokyo Business Association, and finally with a large special issue that we will be producing, some or distributing it in May, and hopefully distributing throughout large Japanese American cultural centers.
I'm a little new to the team, so I'm not as familiar with the meat of that story. But I think the importance of this is California Black media is similar to like it's a series of stories. Our goal on this project is definitely, we were saying a minimum of 1 story per month, but 12 stories. We're also looking at community events and getting together.
Police, more often times than not, they end up dead, whereas you have mass shooters that aren't armed, they're taken into custody with no problem. So by definition, it might not be, but in my opinion, I think.
It does happen to me several months ago. Personally, I was at the science center buying a hot dog, having lunch there, and there's some guy riding a bike by behind me and just scream and yell at me, just like, just force you so that make you kind of like frightened, and then he just passed by. So that's probably a hate incident, but then I don't know that's where it should be reported or not. So that's the issue. Also, we need to find out if there's a hate crime happen, what phone number, where do we call, who do we call, 911, or is there a number specifically designed for that so that somebody can investigate and find out who the actual person is? And the other things also we want to do is that we want to tell the person who commit hate crime what will be their consequences. Is it worth for your life? I mean, crime is life. So do you want to stay in jail for something like that? It's better to do something else worthwhile for yourself, for your family, for your community, rather than commit hate crime.
Okay.
With all other communities, and speaking about the initiative, promoting the prevention, and being part of the community. We already started producing stories.
They would not call the sheriff department or police department. They just wouldn't do anything, and they became victims. So some of them came to me. So I realized that somebody has to be the bridge to let the sheriff department or the law enforcement hear their side of the story, their voice. So that's why I joined that effort. Many
on vacation. But if you have any projects that you need sources for, I'm glad to share some of the names on my Rolodex.
That's great.
These reach the hard-to-reach news readers, especially the immigrants and refugees that are not proficient in English. And we also aim to bridge the gap between various generations as well that are have assimilated here and were born and raised here, and the older generation. So for the grant we apply, we have very ambitious goals. The obvious ones would be raise awareness and also empower the community and provide public and available resources. We actually have built a pretty robust platform online already, and it's a huge library. I said to Celeste to kind of take a sneak peek too, and she said, "Oh, that is very we're on the right track." As far as building resources, I know that Tony mentioned about who do I call, where do I go? So we have local, state, and federal resources listed there, and we also have publications. bi-weekly and weekly, original as well as from other sources. So our main goal is really to provide a bilingual library for others to access. And last but not least, we partner with a lot of CBOs, the community-based organization, to do forum, workshop, event, everything that you have actually mentioned here. So we want to do a series of 5 videos, 5 episodes, focusing on various topics. So